My name is Sam, and today we are going to be filming this live on Instagram Live, as well as we're going to be recording this for YouTube as well, okay? And so a little bit about myself is that for myself, I'm from Toronto, Canada, and for me, I just love to learn, right? For me, I also have a Instagram channel called STEPPINGSTONEBOOKMARKS. And that's a place where, for me, I love to explore different concepts that I'm learning and really journey with a lot of you and a lot of different challenges that we may be going through. And you see, right now in our current time that we're in, the biggest challenge that a lot of us are facing is actually the COVID-19. Right? And a lot of people are saying in the news that this can actually be lasting for a lot longer than we can ever expect. It could be 6 months, a year or two. And I think the people who are affected the most right now, obviously those who are getting sick, but another group of people that are really getting affected by this are the people who are actually running businesses. Right? And the people who are actually working at restaurants, and a lot of people are getting laid off because everyone's staying at home. And during this time, since everyone's losing their jobs, the question is how? How can we get through this together? Okay, so today's topic, or I guess today's video, is all about how do we get back on our feet, especially if we've lost our job during the COVID-19. And today we're going to be going through 3 concepts or 3 steps, and that it's going to be helping us go and get back on our feet, especially if we lost our jobs. Okay, so the first concept or the first question that we really need to ask ourselves if we're trying to get back into the job market, especially if we lost our job, is the question is, what does our world, what does our community, and what does the people all around us actually need? Okay, I think that's a very important question. Even though we all might have our own little businesses, right, producing different things or having different services, we need to just stop and reflect and ask ourselves, what does the world really need at this time? Okay, do they really need us to be making more and more of certain products that we're making, or do they need something else? Okay, because right now the best businesses aren't about making money, and not just about making money, but the best businesses are actually designed to also meet real needs in this world. Okay, so if we really want to be able to have a successful business, especially during this COVID-19 time, we really need to ask ourselves, does the business that we currently have, or the one that we're trying to make, does it actually meet a real need in this world? Okay, so for some of you, if you need help brainstorming, I think one of the huge demographics or one of the huge populations of people that really have a huge need during this time are seniors. Okay, seniors, they need help getting groceries. Not only getting groceries, like going out and getting it and picking it up, but they also need help sanitizing it, someone to deliver it, right? And you know what? Not only groceries, but if you were to think about it, some seniors, they want to connect with their family members, right? And so they want to go and send gifts and presents to their family and friends, right? But they just can't go and pick out a good present, and they don't have the time. They're not able to go and drive out and visit their family members' homes, right? So a huge need right now is for the seniors and helping them get the products that they need, right? And so if you wanted to go and start a new business right now, a real need right now is for the seniors, right? Are you going to be a person who wants to go buy those groceries? Are you going to be a person who's going to sanitize it and help create that delivery service that is much needed during this time? Right? Another huge need that a lot of us may not realize is that for single moms or single dads, right, you have your hands filled with taking care of your kids. You might not be able to go out and buy groceries or buy even essential products like diapers, right? So if you had a person who's willing to go and take your order, right, for not just groceries, but maybe even for diapers, a diaper delivery, right? You need diapers like all the time, right, every single month, and someone was to come and just take your order and deliver diapers to you and just have it all sanitized for you, that would be a very valuable service for someone during this time, right? And last but not least, I think there's a huge need. We hear it in the news all the time, but there's a huge need for people to go and make masks, because all around the world, mass production is actually it's bottlenecking, and there's a really high demand for masks and protective gear, but there's not enough people going and producing it, right? And so if you are good at sewing, is that something you enjoy doing? I think there's a huge demand for us to start making masks. And that's a huge business that we can get into, like personalizing masks, right, and making protective wear. Obviously, you need to have follow guidelines and make sure it's safe and up to par, but that's a huge demand. That's a huge need that this world really needs, right? And so as we design new businesses to accommodate the new world that we live in, we need to really consider, does the things that we make and produce and the services that we offer meet real needs in this time? Because if our business no longer meets a real need during this time, it's no longer going to be relevant. Okay, so that's the first concept today. Does our business or service really meet real needs during this time? Okay. The second concept to get back on our feet, especially if we lost our job during the COVID-19, is to really ask yourself, do I know myself? Do I really, really know myself? Do I know my strengths? I think that's a very important question, not just us business owners need, but even if you're in university, if you're a college student, and you're really trying to plan out the future outlook of your life, right, about your career, you got to really know yourself. You got to know what are your strengths. What are the things that you're naturally good at? What do you find energy and passion doing? For myself, I love speaking. I love teaching. It's a passion that's inside of me. And so for myself, everything I do, I try to go and make sure that I use my voice and use my gifting of teaching, right? And for yourself, if you know your strengths, you're able to go tap into that and really make sure that whatever job that you get into or start, you really have to engage your strengths, okay? And if you don't know your strengths, I think one of the most powerful ways to help yourself figure out and learn your strengths is to ask yourself, what are my weaknesses? What am I terrible at? What do I take forever doing? Because if you figure out what your weaknesses are, you can actually flip it around and say, hey, what's the opposite of that? What's the opposite of that weakness? Because the opposite of the weakness often ends up becoming and revealing what your strength is, okay? So not only knowing your strengths, but another important thing to really figure out in terms of knowing yourself is how do you actually like to work? I think this is a very underrated question in today's society, because people tend not to really think about how they like to work. Some people, they like to be all by themselves. They like to work in front of a computer. They want a program, right? And so if you're trying to design a business and stuff like that, you got to make sure that you cater all your tasks and your responsibilities to the way that you like to work. Some people like managing people, right? So when it came to some of the business ideas that I proposed earlier in terms of going and getting groceries for seniors and delivering it, right? If you like managing people, then maybe ask yourself, wait a second, instead of going to buy the groceries myself, maybe I can recruit a bunch of other people, young people who are healthy, right? Who can go out and to go buy those groceries. I can manage those people and send them out and to go collect these different types of deals, collect these different types of people, and collect the different seniors' contacts who need someone to buy groceries for them. And I can be that middleman, that person who goes and manages all these shoppers, right, and delivery service, right, instead of actually being the person to go and do it, right? Some people love to work with people. They don't want to be managing other people. They want to be working on the front lines. They want to be going and forming relationships. And if that's important to you, you got to make sure that when you design your business or whatever tasks that you're going to do, you got to make sure you factor in some people interactions, right? So if that's for you, then maybe you are the person who's going to go buy the groceries, who's going to go and drop off the groceries at the senior's home, knock on the door, step 6 feet away, and then just have a small chat with them. That might be an extra value that you might add to your business with that customer service, right? That will set you apart from all the other delivery services where you promise to go and spend at least 5 to 10 minutes stopping and having a chat with the person that you deliver your groceries to, right? And last but not least, if you enjoy doing the jobs, if you like the manual labor, right, then maybe you'd be the person who enjoys making and designing the masks, right? at home and selling it, right? And maybe you don't like selling. Maybe selling is not your forte. Then I think it's very important to go look for someone who enjoys selling. And if you're the one who likes making the mask, you can go and sell your mask in bulk to that person who enjoys selling it. So that way they worry about the business side and you just focus more on the manual labor side, because that's the part that you really enjoy, okay? So knowing ourselves is so important. You need to know your strengths. You need to know what's the unique way that you like to work? What's the environment that you want to work in, right? Do you want to work in teams or do you want to work alone? And I think the third subpoint on here is, do you know your values? Do you know your values? Because if you're going to be working on a team with other people, you all have to share the same values. If all of you value that interpersonal relationship, that face-to-face interaction and that camaraderie, then that's really going to shape the way that you do your business, right? You're going to make it so that every single person who delivers on your delivery team is going to go drop off the groceries, step 6 feet away, and have a kind and careful 5 to 10 meaningful talk with your customer, right? But if your value system is, hey, we want to be quick and efficient, we want to get as many groceries to as many people as possible, then you're going to have a different approach. You're probably going to go and spend more time taking in more orders and spending less time talking with the customers, right? So knowing your value system is so important in order to be able to cater the type of business that you are going to go and build, okay? So quick recap, we need to know the needs in this world. The second thing is we need to know ourselves. And we come to the third and final point. You see, the third and final point, a third and final tip of how we can get back on our feet, especially if we've lost our job during the COVID-19 season, is we need to be able to be intentional about measuring and tracking what we're actually doing, okay? And I know a lot of us sometimes get scared as soon as we say, oh, we need to measure, we need stats and stuff like that. We get scared, but the reality is when you measure and you track something, it's a good way of having a reality check. A lot of times as business owners, as entrepreneurs, we believe we have the greatest idea. And to be honest, it's a great idea, right? But we need to take the time to slow down and do a reality check and say, hey, wait a second, is what I'm setting out to do actually happening? Right? Because at the end of the day, we don't want to just live in a bunch of, in our dreams, right? But we want to actually be able to go and say, you know what I set out to do is actually happening, right? So it's important to go and actually have a couple of different important things that we track and we measure, right? You want to track, how many sales you're actually making. Are you actually profitable? Because even if you're making all these things and doing a great job, if you're not profitable and you're not able to feed your family, then you're not actually meeting your one of your major goals, right? The other thing is other things that maybe you want to track your values, right? For example, if your company really values that people interaction and great customer service, you want to track whether or not the people are actually stopping and how long they're actually talking with customers. Because if customers are closing the door after 10 seconds, that means your original idea of having this customer relationship, it might not be working right now, right? And you may need to tweak your approach, right? So that people know not to just close the door right away because they're scared of you, but maybe you might have to tweak your outfit, tweak your uniform, tweak just even your approach so that people realize, wait a second, your company's different. Your company wants to actually have people chat with the customers for 5 to 10 minutes, right? And so tracking your values, putting something to track is actually very, very important to make sure that you're actually doing what you're setting out to do, okay? And here's a reality. Sometimes when we look at the stats are a reality check, and it shows us maybe we're not being successful in the ways that we're planning to be. And that's an awesome opportunity for us to go back, reflect, and to learn, and to readapt our businesses. Because at the end of the day, during this time, I think the companies and the businesses that are really going to be successful, that are going to thrive during the COVID-19 times, are the companies that are going to be willing to continue to be flexible and innovate. The companies who choose to stay static and use the old ways, there's not a high chance that they're going to survive. But the ones who are willing to adapt and change, it's going to be scary, it's going to be a little bit risky, but at the end of the day, those are the ones who are better able to meet the current needs of the world now, okay? So those are the 3 tips of how we can start to get back on our feet, especially if we've lost our job during the COVID-19 season, right? I hope some of these tips have been helpful to you. And especially to those who've lost their job, my heart breaks for you guys. That is a tough time you're going through. But I think the beauty of it is that you're not going through this alone. And the most beautiful thing is that today, if you're taking these steps and you're actually doing something about it, that takes a lot of courage. And I'm really proud of you for going to do that. It's not easy. And even though it might be a long road ahead of you, the beautiful thing is we're learning and we're evolving together. Okay. Thank you for tuning in today. And if you want more tips, if you want more advice, and you just want to learn together with me, feel free to follow me on my Instagram at STEPPINGSTONEBOOKMARKS. And again, it's been a privilege having all of you just jump in and listen, and also be able to be a part of this learning journey with myself as well. Okay? Thanks.